What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today I am happy to say we have found a Human Torch replay, and it is by none other than Afersie. Absolute demon on just this game in general. So let's just get into the replay and see what he does. This is going to be a pretty cool thing to just see. I think a lot of people have been looking to see a good player play this in a good lobby and see what this character can really do. So we are going to do the usual sort of thing, and I'm going to see what's going on. So starting off, again, we are just going to be on this, what is this called? I don't know. I don't know what it's called. Yggdrasil. There you go. That's the one. And I'm curious to see how he plays his range in this game. I hope he plays a little bit more mid-range, because these shotgun blasts are going to have a ton more value if he's actually hitting targets that are a little bit close to him. Looking to get some of these pools on the ground, making sure that the tanks feel a little bit of hesitation stepping up, trying to knock this Bucky off of high ground using that knockback on his F. And then getting a couple pools on the back line, weaving in those right clicks as he's holding down his primary fire. I think as of right now, we haven't done a whole lot of good damage, but we've already farmed ult, which is a little bit crazy. So repositioning the tornadoes as the enemy backs up, he's repositioning them a little bit more. He is kind of spamming that right click, which isn't necessary to some degree. I think he could have used a couple more left clicks just to follow up some of that damage, because you can only have 2-3 tornadoes out at any given time. But, you know, not going too bad here. His team is also able to follow up some good damage and keep his team alive, so the enemy team is going to have a little bit more difficulty pushing up. Gets some good disruption there too, knocks a couple people out of that death ball that they were rocking before. And he creates a nice little triangle on the point, going to do some good damage, and his Psylocke is going to take people low. He's going to use his F to help finish off that rocket. And we're going to get a pretty successful first fight, only losing Harvey in the process. Gonna kick the crap out of this wall here real quick and just wait for the next fight. It is also pretty cool because he has built ult twice over in this fight. I know this is a really tight corridor, so he's gonna get a lot more cleave damage than you ordinarily will in a lot of these situations, but building ult quickly is something that's going to be hugely impactful in some of these games, and he is not going to waste any time in making sure these tornadoes are out, trying to reposition them to make sure that they are hitting people that are in his front line. And I do think a lot of people use this ability in, I don't know, a bit of a weird way. We're just repositioning the tornadoes. You can only have those 3 out, so like why? You know, I think we should be using left clicks, leave the tornadoes, zone off a specific area, or put them near backliners. But repositioning them every 5 seconds just seems like you're taking away value. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what it feels like for me. Able to play some verticality here and dodge that Bucky ult, so that was pretty huge. His Magneto able to take him out as well. They do effectively waste Bucky ult, and he's just going to back all the way up. And again, he has farmed another ult on this character. Tons and tons of hit markers here. Popping Supernova. Don't know if we really wanted to use that there. But in that situation also, he had 2 tornadoes on the point. So if he were to spam it into that Groot wall, he could have maybe just, or on the floor next to the Groot wall, he might have even taken tornadoes away from doing damage there. So you have to definitely be careful with that on this healer. Unfortunately, Groot ult, Namor, and Luna Snow come out from the enemy team. So they're going to get wiped on this first point. Reset the clock to 3 minutes, and he's going to use this left shift to get back to the point pretty quickly. This thing has a lot of juice in it. The sort of sprint meter is going to be pretty generous, so I haven't seen a whole lot of people run out of sprint charge. And as this character is pretty new, I think it's also worth mentioning that you know, connecting these lava pools instead of dropping multiple on the same sort of general area is going to be pretty impactful. So also making sure that you are creating larger zones of these fire rings, because they do damage in between the zones. So if you make a square, it'll damage anyone inside the square, regardless of if they are touching a line or not. So be kind of mindful of that as well. It'll help you get a ton more damage with this character if you're making a wider zone and encasing a lot of people in it. Once again, we are on our, fourth ult for this game. And again, that was kind of a situation where we took some high pressure tornadoes out and we're actually moving them to a less pressure situation. And then we have to reset them to the place where they were doing some work before. They do last a pretty long time, so I don't know. I think the zone denial could have been very, very cool there if he had not just kind of held down right click. I don't know. Maybe he knows something I don't. Who's to say? Or if there's initial damage or something like that. I don't think there's an initial tick on each of these tornadoes. So, and this has felt like the weaker of the two characters that is just recently released. The Thing has felt pretty dominant in some of these games where people are rocking 2 tanks, and I don't know. It's a whole thing. But again, doing a good job of farming ult quickly, dropping these fire pools on tanks, farming closer to his ult. Bucky does get a 2-piece, and everyone on the enemy team is going to be using their ult, so they're going to get pretty steamrolled here, trying to get some follow-up damage and get the one shot on the Bucky, but it's not going to get people through that Luna ult. But they did hold off for about 2 minutes and 15 seconds or so, so they're sitting in a decent spot. You know, 2 minutes holding this last point is, you know, very, very doable. Ops to switch spawns there too. I think that was pretty smart. A lot of people wouldn't have swapped spawns there. They would have tried to hold the enemy at the gate, but I think this is a much, much safer option. Being able to back up to your team, guarantee that. And as you just saw right there, maybe you didn't see it, I don't know. But he does use a right click into a wall, and it actually doesn't create a pool next to a wall if you hit a wall with it. So that's kind of important to note. Gets taken out in the supernova here, and his tornadoes go away instantly, so definitely also be careful when you are putting those out there. And I think it is interesting to see people try and kind of almost be the hero on this character. He's built as a zone denial and just that pressure, that constant ticking damage kind of character. And it's interesting to see people really try and just 1v9 with him, because it's just not going to happen. It's going to be, I think, when people get better at this character, it's going to be much more interesting to see how people play with the space denial, making sure that they keep certain areas completely closed off to the enemy team, and go from there, as opposed to just, you know, focusing on raw damage like some other characters can do. Unfortunately, going to get taken out here by that Magneto on high ground. This Luna is farming ult incredibly fast as well. And I apologize, this cursor was in the middle of the screen this whole time. I'm so sorry. I do kind of just forget about it sometimes with the amount of things that are going on the screen. Taking out some of the squid buddies here. And he's going to be playing a little bit too high up there. Not going to be in range of some healers. And there we go. We're going to pop Supernova here. Unfortunately, going to get hooked back into this Bucky. And leave that tornado on that Magneto. Make sure that he's taking more damage there. Psylocke gets a beautiful ult. He finishes off the Luna. And with the help of 4 ultimates popped, they're going to ace the enemy team. Keep the score at 2-0, and we're going to go into the next round. So let's see what that has in store for us. We kind of know the outcome already, but hey, we're going to pretend like we don't, and it's okay. So again, playing more fire pools on the tanks, from what I can see, gets a nice zone of fire right there, so no one's going to be stepping in that. And takes the 1v1 with this Namor, gets him to pop his left shift. Unfortunately, the squids just take him out there. So, but I do think that was a good 1v1 to take. This character does a tremendous amount of damage at close range too. So if you get in a situation like that and you just want to shotgun blast people and take them out, you can pretty much 2-tap a pretty healthy target. This Namor is definitely shutting him down though with those aimbot turrets. I might also do a spectating video on a guy that was kind of sus as far as cheating the other day. So maybe that'll be the next thing that I record. I just kind of want to get people's take on it. I don't know. Is that weird? I don't know. Some people, I mean, they just have an absolute pop-off game, and there's no explanation for it, and they're just not missing a shot. But some people, I don't know. You're flipping a switch somewhere. I think he's also going for tanks a little bit, maybe too much on this character. I think if you're going to go for tanks, you really need to play a little more forward. Something like that. Magneto ult, also very, very hard countering his tornadoes, just stopping those before they even start. But I think he should be trying to get a little bit more poke on the back line. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a whole lot of dive on his team besides that Psylocke. But maybe if you're playing with a Wolverine or a BP or a Spider-Man or something like that, you could throw some fools in the background, help those characters get the one-shots easier. And there we go. He is able to take the Groot out very quickly as he gets a little bit closer, landing more of those shotgun blasts and getting some good follow-up damage there. So Luna just going to ult for this Namor here. Kind of a waste of that one, I think. I think the fight was kind of lost, but they're going to stagger him pretty heavily just as the Mag and Groot are getting back. Mag able to save that, what is it, the Luna over there. But huge stagger on the enemy team, so I think they're just going to give this up. And this is a situation where you see this character shine. He did throw his right click into a wall there, so it's not actually going to make a pool. You can only throw them on floors. But there we go. Going to throw a flame pool in this little doorway up there here. Throw them on high ground so people can't play that high ground angle. And then this hallway too. We can throw some flame pools in here. Make sure the enemy feels a little bit less safe coming through this. Able to get that first point. Reset the timer back up to 4 minutes. I'm so excited for Thing and Johnny to be played more. I just think these characters have so much potential in a lot of different ways. Different, comps, using their kits. Definitely feels like a very fresh, not any sort of recycled content that I've played in another hero shooter, at least in my experience. So I'm curious what you guys think about these two new characters. What are you looking for next? I mean, we got Johnny Storm. What about Johnny Blaze? I don't know. Any trues in the chat? Oh no, I've become a any trues in the chat kind of guy. Oh gosh. Playing some good high ground here. Tries to get the Namor knocked off there, and the beautiful supernova too in that little tiny place where the enemy has to walk through. Zones them off very, very well, and he was able to pick up that two-piece. His team is able to kind of use that and play this choke easier. And this is going to be where he really, really excels, forcing the Luna ult there. Getting above that Magneto. No way he's one-shotting the torch here. And this is where I would make a giant zone of fire. He's got a beautiful setup here, but good follow-up damage. Dives in on the Luna, and as you can see, he does some crazy damage at close range. And I think that's what he maybe should have been doing a lot more this game. He's getting a lot more damage on the tanks, but this round he's focused much more on the back line. At least in the last minute or so. Might also just be because he's on attack, but I see a lot of people just standing in Narnia and throwing auto attacks at the enemy, and that's just simply not going to do a whole lot. So play with range on this character. Play a little closer, play a little bit further away, see what works for you. See what's doing the most. See what's doing the most against different characters. I think that's part of the reason that this character has so much really cool potential. And again, we're ulting every 5 seconds, so this is pretty cool. I wasn't a huge fan of his ult. I don't think it does damage very quickly. It feels much more slow burn, no pun intended, than some other damage ults, but it does still do some good damage, especially if people are forced to walk through those tornadoes. It's not going to be a thing that just immediately forces a healing cooldown, though. So play around that for sure. They do lose 2 here. Don't think they're going to be able to... They still get a little bit more distance on this cart here. Just about 2.5 minutes left until they finish this round up. So let's see what they're able to do. Already farmed 26 seconds back on his ult. Fortunately, Moon Knight ult not going to be able to do a whole lot there. I think he could have saved the Psylocke there, maybe. I'd have to go back and rewind if I want to see that, but Missed a couple pretty easy shots on this Namor here. This Namor should be well dead at this point. Trying to finish him off with a melee. And there we go. I think he's playing a little bit closer range here, and he's getting a ton more damage on those tanks, forcing that Magneto back. And Invisible Woman ult thankfully comes out. Nice dive in there to finish off the Thor. And there we go. Dodge the Bucky ult. Don't get hit by that for sure. And there's Bucky ult, Mag ult, Luna ult. Just back right up. Get a nice reset. And wait for that Bucky ult to go down the drain before we get another push going here. Bam. Detonates some fire puddles. Tries to get the final hit on that Thor there. Not able to get quite as much damage I think he was hoping for, but still takes the Thor very low and forces him to back up. Drops a couple fire tornadoes on this Thor. Magneto actually blocks one of those. I don't know if you saw that there, but that is where shielding tanks are going to make this character feel very, very miserable. You can't put a fire puddle underneath a shield tank if you actually hit the shield with the fire. So keep that in mind, and it won't make a tornado too. They get the nice 3-2 win here. Doing some hefty work. Definitely playing the character, I think, better in that second round. Getting some more backline damage, using his F a little bit more effectively to finish off targets or get some more burst damage, forcing them to back up more than he did so in that first round. Doesn't get MVP or anything, and he's also playing with a pretty stacked roster. He's playing with some professional players, but as you can see, he does a good amount of damage, gets a good amount of final hits to go along with them. 40-8, definitely respectable in a 1 above all lobby. So again, if you want to see more of Human Torch, let me know in the comments below. I'll definitely be doing a couple more spectating videos on him and the Thing in the next week or so. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more of the content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.